I'm right in thinking. Ryder Meggitt. Meggitt. Mr. Lighthouse Medical, co-founder and owner of Lighthouse.
Hello? Whoa. I was told to speak loudly, so if you can hear me in the back, can you make some noise? Yeah, that's good. Okay, yeah, that pretty much sums it up on the business card there. Director and product designer at one company which has two brands, one of which is Ryder Meggitt, where we design and produce our own medical products. And the other brand is Element 06, and that is our consultancy brand, and that's where we work with clients, as I'm sure you all do as well, and try and design sustainable and socially responsible products. Something which underlines both of those is what we call fairly catchily 6-element design thinking. And this fairly natty diagram explains that. There's 6 elements we think you need to consider when you're designing a product. Design and engineering needs to be problem-led. It's got to be environmentally efficient. You've got to think about the social impacts. It's got to make some money. And to do all that, you need to design the business system around it. And this is how I first got into it, straight out of uni. Myself and a colleague tried to understand what actually is sustainable design. We got our ideas together and we actually just jetted off. First place we ended up was a company called Lighthouse Research in New Zealand, and quite bizarrely, in a bubble, they were coming up with the same sort of concepts and ideas we were on what actually good design was. Bit about my background. Before university, I had a year in the army, so aside from learning how to iron particularly well, I got to get sweaty in the jungle, do the All-Arms Commando course, generally learn how to be double hard and look smart in creases. The thing I learned from that was that you've got to have a good team. Design, as far as I'm concerned, and product design is not about being a maverick, it's a team game. You need people to question what you're doing, and that happens from the first intern who comes through the door right through to the people who've been there quite a few years. So it's a team sport. Other things I've learned along the way are never say no to an opportunity. That's not me hanging myself. I might be doing that later. It's paragliding. One of the many things I learned in my gap year, that was something I was told, never say no. It could be a good experience, it could be a bad experience. I'm looking like I'm having a fairly painful experience there. That's probably true. I learn by doing. That's how I learn things. Some people learn in a different way. This is us, me and 3 other colleagues, trying to get across the Alps on a route called the Hot Route. This is an earlier attempt to try and scale Mont Blanc. Having never picked up an ice axe in my entire life, with 2 friends while I was doing a ski season, I'm at the bottom because I've slithered down that face and I've just bounced over that crevasse there. So don't be scared to try and achieve something. I have some pretty random thoughts, a lot of designers do, and these are 2 things which help me try and gather them. One thing is mind mapping. I mind map like a beast. You can see a mind map actually for this talk here. I use software to help me. This is something we did while I was on my ski season in Chamonix, and it taught me that just with good design you can actually make a big difference. We designed an incentive scheme booklet out there in between chaperoning clients or sort of ski lessons and taking them along. This fairly crusty looking man is probably one of my idols, some would say, Sir Ranulph Fiennes. He's the epitome of making a good thing out of a bad situation. Probably epitomised when he went into his work shed and sawed off one of his fingers which had got frostbite, rather than waiting for the NHS. Design, I believe you've got to have a solid design process behind you, and this is something we've developed and worked hard at Element 06 and at Ryder Meggitt, That's just a broad overview. It gets more detailed, but I think you've got to have a framework before you can improvise, and that's something we work hard at. This is my new beast. Oh, it's lost the saddle somewhere. Looks slightly painful. This is what I consider good design, or an example of. It's simple and it's reliable. It's a fixed wheel bike. There's basically very little to go wrong. Yet it enables me to propel myself at fairly dangerous speeds around Glasgow. I've always been fascinated by Japan. There's a photo I took there of sort of a blend of the traditional Japan with the sort of more high-tech image which comes out of Japan. While travelling there, got a lot of inspiration, and I think we can learn a lot from over there. Don't trust people in authority, because they're generally wrong and somehow got there by random means. This is Banksy. I think his art is actually very powerful and a good way of expressing your thoughts, I guess, with guerrilla tactics. Always challenge yourself, I guess, is one of the thoughts I always try and do. This was myself and one of the guys in the audience, went to Canada just this summer, tried to canoe down a river for 8 days unguided, which is quite interesting, wrestling bears and all the like. Something I'd like to see for the future is product designers working in what we do more in collaboration with architects. I do believe you can actually design many domestic products out of use if you work with architects to do that, and that for me is something where I'd like to see us moving into. And finally, don't be afraid to take risks. We're designers after. Cheers, thanks.
Thanks for an amusing start to the second half, I think you'll agree. The next speaker up is Jen.